Hi, I'm Ricky Covington, and my sweater game is very extensive.
Hi, I'm Alec Bradley, and contrary to popular belief, I don't have the juice.
Hi, I'm Jordan Fisher. I even have a fridge that has the water on the door like with the crushed ice. Shout out to Little Dicky.
Now, for those of you who aren't sports fans, the part of your show is now over. For those of you who do love sports like we do, welcome to Run the Play.
Welcome to Run the Play. Here's your host, Ricky Covington.
And as you heard, I am your host, Ricky Covington. Welcome to Run the Play. As always, to my left is Alec Bradley, and to my right, Jordan Fisher. And in my ear and in your hearts, our director, Tristan White, is right there. Well, on today's show, we'll dive into the marquee matchups we've seen so far during the NBA season's first 2 days. We'll also get you prepared for week 8 in the NFL, including tonight's AFC East bout between the New England Patriots and the Miami Dolphins. And oh yeah, I guess they're still playing baseball out in the World Series.
Oh yeah.
But for how much longer? All that plus shot clock coming up on today's show. But up first, on the gridiron, the Dolphins trade in their swim trunks for long sleeves tonight as they travel to division foe Patriots on Thursday Night Football. The 3-3 Miami Dolphins, coming off 2 big wins under interim head coach Dan Campbell, will look to continue their hot streak tonight against the 6-0 New England Patriots team that, well, are what we thought they were. So Tom Brady is playing like a man possessed, it seems, leading his team to win after win, I should say, while Ryan Tannehill is finally looking to start to live up to that first round hype, maybe. Can't get too excited yet. So, Alec, we'll start with you. Do the Dolphins stand any kind of chance tonight against the Patriots?
Well, they're so Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. I don't know what to expect out of the Dolphins, really, but I'm going to say it's going to be a competitive game because they finally seem like they awoken from that early season slumber. They were under head coach Joe Philbin. Dan Campbell seems to have really, lit a fire under them. They seem to enjoy playing for him. The defense is finally starting to look like the defense we thought it would be. Tannehill, for all intents and purposes, is looking like a quarterback who can actually get the job done this season instead of looking pretty much like trash for the first couple of weeks. Lamar Miller, the running game is starting to be there. Their receiving core actually isn't that bad, so shockingly. So I just think it'll be a close game. I still think the Patriots are going to edge them out in this one, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Dolphins pulled off the upset.
I think it'll certainly be a good game. With Thursday night football games, they always just seem kind of weird. They're usually kind of low scoring because the teams don't have a whole lot of time to prepare for the other team. And so really everything's just kind of vanilla. And they just kind of make simple plays, simple route concepts, stuff like that, simple defenses. And so they don't really have a whole lot of game plan that goes into it. With that being said, though, with the way we have seen the Patriots play this year, I do expect the Patriots to get the win, probably by a pretty decent margin. But also the Dolphins are one of those teams that they've caught a little bit of fire lately ever since Dan Campbell was named the head coach. And ever since Joe Philbin was out, it almost seems like they're fired up, they're ready to play. And if there is a team that is dangerous with that kind of front, I think it would be Miami that has a chance to knock off the Patriots. Will it happen? I'm not quite sure. I don't know if the rest of that defense is good enough, but certainly they have a defensive line that can certainly pressure Tom Brady and then shut down the run.
Yeah, and that offense for the Patriots is really starting to click on all cylinders, especially bringing Brandon LaFell back. He, his first game was last week of the season, and of course still having Gronk and Edelman. And Amendola, he's secretly like their workhorse, of course. If Gronk doesn't, he somehow always gets his 9-10 catches a game. Edelman usually has about the same. But then secretly you'll see Amendola will have like 4 or 5 for 80 yards. So in between those big plays by those big play guys, Amendola is definitely that guy who kind of carries them down the field. So I think he's dangerous.
Yeah, and he always has at least one play where it seems like Brady just overthrows him just a little bit too much. And so he's certainly got that vertical threat to him as well. I think Amendola is definitely someone to watch in this contest because a lot of attention is going to go to Gronk. A lot of attention is going to go to Edelman, and rightfully so. But an Amendola, a Brandon LaFell, they might step up and have a big game against a Miami secondary that's really not that deep.
Exactly. You would look for, the role players like an Amendola or LaFell, the lesser names to step off in this game. But keep your eyes on Deion Lewis. I think this is a type of game where they can utilize him in all facets, run and the pass.
Yeah, especially when their running game seems to not want to show up unless they're playing against the Colts. But, I mean, we'll have to check out that game.
You got to bring that up every single week, don't you?
No, only because
every single week.
No, and I'm saying it only because they only care to run the ball against the Colts.
That's true.
They won't run anywhere else. That's all
They
I'm
clearly
saying.
didn't run it last week.
See,
Tom
they
Brady
didn't.
was their leading rusher with four carries for 15 yards.
And a touchdown.
And a touchdown.
See? Well, moving on to Sunday and Monday, there are scheduled to be some really interesting matchups to look forward to. 2 of the 5 currently undefeated teams will take the field against one another as the Green Bay Packers travel to Mile High to face the Denver Broncos. Elsewhere, the also undefeated Cincinnati Bengals will take on their division foe Steelers in Pittsburgh, and with Pittsburgh hoping to have All-Pro quarterback Ben Roethlisberger back, so we hope to see he can get back under the field, but he's been quoted to say that he's not getting his hopes up yet, so we'll have to stay tuned for that. And finally, the Indianapolis Colts. They welcome the undefeated Carolina Panthers to Lucas Oil Stadium for Monday Night Football. Jordan, I'll let you go first. Which game, I'll put it this way, which game of all those are you most looking forward to?
Well, it's actually not the Colts game in Carolina.
I didn't think so.
And actually, they do play at Carolina this week.
Oh, is it at Carolina?
Yeah, it's okay. They do play at Carolina, which makes it even worse because Carolina certainly has their things going this year. Their defense is better. Cam Newton's been playing like an MVP. That's all I'm going to leave it at. I'm going to watch it as a Colts fan, unless I have to work, but I'm going to watch it as a Colts fan. I'm not going to get really all that excited about it. The one game I am really excited to see, though, is Green Bay-Denver. I think that is a marquee matchup, to say the least. You got that ferocious Denver defense going against Aaron Rodgers and that Packers offense. And it's going to be strength on strength. You know, who can win that matchup, I think, is really going to be the decider of this game. I think the Broncos will have a little bit of a good offensive day. I don't know if they're going to have quite, vintage Peyton Manning, 2013 Peyton Manning type a game, but I think you'll see them be able to compete, put up some points on the board because the Green Bay defense, it's good, but it's not great. Meanwhile, Packers offense is great, Denver defense is great. That's going to be a real fun matchup to watch.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Just a quick side note, I'm not excited about this game. The Colts, Panthers, I would rather watch paint dry than watch that game Monday night. But the matchup I'm looking forward to this week really is going to be up in the AFC North, the Steelers and the Bengals. These two teams always play each other rough, physical, grinded out type of football. You know what you're going to get. The Andy Dalton-led Bengals, they're shockingly 6-0 right now. I don't know how. I think the defense and everything, the offensive weapons is just finally coming together. Andy Dalton looks like the quarterback they thought he would be once they gave him that massive extension. But you look at the Steelers, they've, tread water without Roethlisberger under center. Vic got it done. Landry Jones came in. He did his serviceable duty. And now you're hoping that you can get Big Ben back under center, and hopefully he can steer the ship for the rest of the season and get you maybe a 2 seed in the AFC, because I honestly don't think anybody's catching the Patriots.
Yeah, and I'll tell you.
I'll answer your question, Alec. The Bengals are 6. Leading the. My mic doesn't like me.
Yeah,
I'll answer your question. The Bengals are 6-0 because Andy Dalton's leading the league in QBR. He has the highest QBR at 84.2 for this season.
Wow.
To give you some perspective, Andrew Luck, poor Andy, second to last. Jordan doesn't even want to. Jordan
it
doesn't
cut you
wanna
out
hear
again because we don't
It
want to
did?
talk about him.
Yeah.
Yeah, they cut you out again because we don't want to hear about Andrew Luck.
Andrew
so.
Luck's at
No, you still cut
38.3.
out.
He's still not
You
hearing
keep
us.
talking about him.
Yeah, it's
Your
38.
mic's still
it's
not working.
It's gone.
38.3.
It's gone.
Yeah.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
It
So,
does-
anyways, it's Andrew Luck. That topic clearly is not meant to be talked about.
As soon as he said Andrew Luck,
As
it
soon as
just
he
went
said
away.
Andrew Luck, that mic was out. And so, I mean, I will say this. Andy Dalton is number 1 in QBR. I think he needs to stop comparing to Andrew Luck because so far it's just not worked this year. Andy Dalton deserves a lot of credit for what they've done, but I think aside from A.J. Green, also someone like a Tyler Eifert stepping up deserves a lot of talk.
Definitely.
He's been one of the top tight ends in the league. Gio Bernard, or Giovanni Bernard, as he said today earlier on ESPN. He prefers to be called that. And Jeremy Hill, obviously, are a great rushing tandem. And, of course, you have A.J. Green. That's going to attract all kinds of attention. It's going to give that Pittsburgh defense some fits. But the Pittsburgh offense can give Cincinnati some fits as well with Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown.
And I tell you, the number one person who can't wait to have Ben Roethlisberger back is Antonio Brown. He has been quiet.
He really has. Yeah, I think Antonio Brown's the type of receiver. If he doesn't have a quarterback to get him the ball, he's not really a threat on the field. So Antonio Brown, he probably has himself on his own fantasy team. I got you on one of my fantasy teams. So I certainly do hope Ben Roethlisberger comes back because I need those points.
Absolutely. I mean, as far as a game for me that I'm looking forward to, I do like both of those games, but I'm still looking forward to the Panthers and Colts only because Cam Newton is having an MVP caliber season.
He is.
I'll take it. I'll take it the opposite way. Not to see the Colts try to get it together, because who knows if they will or not. But
Even though deep down you want to.
even though I do, but no. But yeah, Cam Newton's playing excellent. Even with all the talk of not having any weapons on offense other than Greg Olsen, he's still getting it done. They're still undefeated. Ted Ginn, who seems to go from the Panthers and have decent success, go somewhere else and be completely quiet and come back to the Panthers and have success again. He's definitely at least pulling his own weight. I mean, that's a lot of weight to carry for that whole offense. Hopefully they do get – does Kelvin Benjamin come back this year, or is he out for the year?
He tore his ACL, so I doubt he's coming. Unless he makes a fast rehab like Adrian Peterson and somehow comes back and like maybe for the playoffs, I don't see it coming. I don't see it happening, especially with someone that young. But I do look for Devin Funchess. He started to get a little bit more involvement in the offense, and so I would think he would start to have a bit of a bigger role. But Darius Butler for the Colts actually put it perfectly this week. He was talking to one of the Colts beat writers, and he said, Cam Newton is the player you try to create on Madden when you go to create one. He does everything you need to. He's big, he's strong, he's fast, he can throw the ball, he can run the ball. He's literally the complete package. And so, I mean, he's certainly a matchup nightmare, and I know that lately Carolina's been saying, hey, let's just put 10 people in front of Cam Newton and let them all be the lead blockers, and he can be our running back. And so that's going to cause some serious issues against the Colts defense that has been better against the run, but as of late, they've started to fall back to where they were.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I don't have any words. I used them all up on Tuesday about the Colts, so.
Well, all right. Well, on that note, we'll have to step away because Alec told me he has to go potty. But when we return, we'll cover the first 2 days of the NBA season. So stay tuned here. Run the play on SETV 12.
Newman Catholic Club is a great way to get involved at USI. NCC aims to assist students in continuing their religious journey throughout their college career. Newman Catholic Club provides students with great opportunities to meet new friends and grow in their faith through their weekly meetings, masses, and service projects.
Yeah, I definitely recommend it. It's a good way to get to know other people of the same faith and just to really have good, solid friendships.
Newman Catholic Club, where hearts speak to hearts.
And welcome back to RTP. The NBA opening night on Tuesday definitely lived up to the hype. The Cleveland Cavaliers faced my Chicago Bulls in the Madhouse on Madison, and Chicago was able to hold off a late fourth quarter surge led by Kevin Love, I was about to say Kevin Hart, wow, to beat the Cavs 97-95. And also on Tuesday, the Golden State Warriors, who did finally receive their championship rings, began their title defense on the right foot as they beat the New Orleans Pelicans 111-95 behind a big 40-point night by MVP Steph Curry. That included 24 points in the first quarter. So what were your guys' first impressions of these teams on Tuesday night? We'll start with you, Alec.
Well, honestly, it's the first night, game one, a game out of 82. You don't really know what to do. You're going to size up your opponent, see where they are at, see if the preseason work and paid off. But really, I'm kind of disappointed in LeBron James so far. I mean, last night against Memphis, even though the Cavs had a dominating win, he only had 12 points. And then you see in the game against Chicago on opening night, when he went for the game-winning basket, he tried to do something he could do 3 or 4 years ago, which is go right at Powell and just elevate above him. But Powell just easily blocked him. I think it's starting to show even LeBron James is mortal, and, age and wear and tear on those tires, which are his legs, are starting to catch up on him. And he may actually need to develop a jump shot now because he just can't be a physical freak of nature anymore.
And that's always been LeBron James' Achilles heel, is that he never has had a consistent jump shot. If you look at some of the greats like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade, the better players of the last 10, 15 years, as far as perimeter players go, they've all had good jump shots. And certainly I think that LeBron's going to have to develop that now because he's not nearly as explosive as he used to be. We saw last year he had to take that 2-week break or hiatus or whatever you want to call it, and then he came back and he was resurged because he was just worn out. Well, this year he's already dealing with a back injury and some inflammation in his back, and he had to have a shot in order to get prepared for the opening night game. I will also say this, though. He also had 2 tough matchups with Jimmy Butler and Tony Allen guarding him. I'm assuming Tony Allen guarded him because it's usually who draws the best player. And so, I mean, it's a little bit concerning because he is older. He's not looking as much like he used to. But he's still one of the better players in the world, probably the best player in the league still. And the thing is, though, I think a lot of things that we need to talk about, too, is how good Chicago looked on the opening night. I thought that they looked pretty meshed, pretty good as far as having a new head coach and a new regime. And I texted you guys about it during the game. Like the second quarter, Derrick Rose is already injured. So that's certainly something to watch out for, although it was just an ankle injury. But I'm sure you as a Bulls fan were like, come on, man, really?
I was definitely afraid. I was actually doing homework because I'm a good student. And I got the text message, and all I saw was, seriously? And then I think Tristan said, what? And he's like, Derrick Rose is already hurt. And I cut on the TV, like, waiting to already have a tear in my eye. I was waiting to just see him getting, like, carried away. It would have been a bad situation. I would have been on here crying.
Well, I mean, it wasn't that bad. It was just an
I
ankle
didn't know.
sprain. But it was still the fact of the matter. He didn't make it, but 16 minutes into the season, and he already had an ankle injury.
But are you guys surprised? I mean, really, my mic works now.
I'm surprised your mic works.
Yeah, it's not very loud, I don't think. But are you really surprised?
There it goes again.
Is it doing it again? Man.
Woo! Your mic's cutting out again.
Try it again.
Yeah, it
Nope.
doesn't. No?
Nope,
It's
your
over.
mic is cutting out. No more Tristan on this episode.
Man, so much for the man in my ear and in your hearts.
Oh, jeez.
But yeah, turn our attention now until I get to the Warriors. Really, the Warriors were definitely came out to play, especially Steph. Having the 24 first quarter points.
You got it?
Wow, I got it now. Sorry.
We're all having issues
Maybe my
today.
mic needs to get cut out. But no, yeah, they definitely came to play. And Anthony Davis was really absent in that game. He was almost nowhere to be found. And although it's game 1 and everybody says, oh, we just got to get our feet wet and, we just got to get warmed up. You expect of all games, the first game when you're the most healthy and the most excited to come out and really put on a show. And for LeBron and for Anthony Davis, that really just didn't happen.
Well, I think sometimes, and we'll get to it a little bit when we get to the Pacers, but sometimes you come out too energized and you're too excited for the season and you're just kind of forcing everything and you're not getting in a rhythm like you normally would, so your adrenaline's pumping. And I think that's part of what happened with Anthony Davis. Obviously, the Pelicans as a whole aren't a fantastic team. They have some talent, but overall they're not very great when you have Dante Cunningham playing a lot of minutes. But Anthony Davis, he'll get it figured out. He'll get it coming around. And they also played in a tough environment, Oracle. That's certainly one of the loudest arenas in the NBA, if not the loudest. And combine that with the Warriors' tough defensive, mindset, and then their offensive ability that you just saw there. It's just overall a tough matchup, and I think Anthony Davis was just trying to force too much.
Yeah, I mean, he's a young guy, and there's a lot of pressure on him, not only to get back to the playoffs since they did make it last year, but to be that front-runner type MVP candidate that so many people picked him to be before the season started. All these NBA GMs saying they would want to start their franchise with him. That's a lot of expectations are put on the shoulders of a 22-year-old. Let's not forget, he's only 22, so he's still a young kid by most measures in the game. So I just think that opening night, these first couple of weeks are probably going to be him trying to settle in and try to just live up to everybody's expectations of him. But once he gets his footing and, gets comfortable in doing Anthony Davis things, we'll see what we saw last year from him.
Yeah, and he's already projected to be, in the top 3 for MVP, considerations already as far as, what people are saying, because he's that good. He, as you said, most people would say they would pick him to start a franchise. And obviously, he's already been in the league 3 years and he's only 22 and he's only getting better. He hasn't even reached his prime yet. Exactly. So, I mean, we'll stay tuned. I'm sure they'll get it together.
And I think that's the scariest part. He's only 22, and he's probably widely considered a top 3 to 5 NBA player in the league. Mm-hmm. And the fact that you still have 3 years till really most players hit their prime, which is that 25, 26 range, and he's still not even there yet, like that's scary because this dude, he could easily be one of the better players we've ever seen play if he continues on this trajectory and obviously stays healthy, which hopefully he does. But as versatile as he is, let's say he develops a 3-point jumper, how are you going to defend Anthony Davis?
Exactly, not to mention UK, BBN all day. Moving on to last night in the association, the Indiana Pacers began their season in Toronto, or the Six, I guess if you're a Drake rapper fan. Indy's Stars couldn't seem to get into the rhythm as they fell 106-99 to the Raptors behind a great start by DeMar DeRozan, who had 25. So, I mean, Jordan, we'll start with you. Is there any early concern for the Pacers as to not gelling correctly or hitting all their shots as they were accustomed to?
I think the biggest thing that I took away from this game, now I didn't get to watch it because I was actually doing access last night, but the biggest thing I gathered from this game was that Jonas Valanciunas, the center for Toronto, as he just put a bucket in there, he finished with like 21 points and I think like 13 rebounds. Certainly that is the biggest concern with the Pacers going small. In the last 4 or 5 years, they've been known for their interior defense and their rebounding. And when you have a big man that is able to put up that many points and be able to get that many rebounds and kind of control the paint, that's not a good sign because the Pacers don't have a whole lot of talent to work with as far as being in the middle there. But again, Monte Ellis and Paul George also struggled mightily last night. I think they combined to shoot like 30% or something like that. And I think you'll see both of them get it figured out. Paul George said after the game that he was just too, amped up to get out there and play because he's finally healthy and, 100% ready to go. And that he says that he thinks that got him out of a rhythm. And I think you'll see him and Monte Ellis start to gel better, and then this whole entire offense really start to put up some points.
Yeah, I mean, it's the first game. Paul George, his actually first time being 100% healthy since maybe 2 summers ago. So, you saw what you could expect out of this Pacer team when their 2 top offensive options aren't really clicking that night. And, they go small. They're going to get out-rebounded. The interior defense just isn't going to be there. But that doesn't mean you need to shy away from what you want to do or, just throw away the small ball idea. I just think give them a couple weeks. Like I said with Anthony Davis, they just need a couple weeks, get used to everything, allow PG to settle back into his maybe top 10 NBA player role, and they'll be all right.
And now Tristan, even though he can't talk on the mic anymore, was in my ear, he was letting us know that every single Pacers player in the plus-minus category was a minus. There was not a single player on the floor that resulted in positive results throughout the entire game. Rodney Stuckey was at a 0, though, so he was completely neutral. So, I mean, it's one of those things. Like, it'll get turned around. As you said, it's the first game of the year. It's the first game of a new regime. I think they'll get the interior defense and rebounding figured out. They're going to get their perimeter guys going, and there's going to be one night where everybody's shooting lights out from the outside, and they're going to put up 130 points, and everyone's going to love it. So, I mean, it's going to happen between the 82-game season when you're going to be taking this many shots.
All right. Well, and also happening last night, the easy money sniper himself, Kevin Durant, made his return to OKC as he, Russell Westbrook, and the Thunder hosted the San Antonio Spurs. Kawhi Leonard and newcomer LaMarcus Aldridge tried to spoil the return, but were unable to thanks to a 33-point night behind Russell Westbrook. So, Alec, do you think the Thunder how do you think they look with their 2 stars finally back on the court together and healthy?
This is OKC I'm used to seeing. For the first game of the season, I felt like I should have been watching this in a late May instead of late October because it was just highly competitive. You could see, as we see right there, Enes Kanter had 15 and 16 off the bench. Deion Waiters actually looked like a competent basketball player for once in his career. I mean, KD struggled from the field, but when you have Kawhi Leonard covering you all night for 48 minutes, you're going to struggle. You're not going to get most of your shots. But what really stuck out to me was, even with Kevin Durant back, Russell Westbrook was still getting his. He had 33 and 10, I believe. And he was just lights out. I mean, if the Thunder basically have 2 MVP candidates, along with the Defensive Player of the Year and Serge Ibaka, I don't see why they can't win the title this year.
And I certainly agree with everything you said there. Again, with Kevin Durant, I think he was another situation coming back from an injury, certainly ready to play, just kind of got out of his own rhythm. But Russell Westbrook certainly showed up. And if you can get those 2 clicking throughout the year and they'll actually work together well again, and as you said, with someone like a Serge Ibaka, and then if Deion Waiters can actually be competent throughout the entire year, not just one night, I said the Thunder are my pick from the West. I don't know if they'll win the title, but I think they end up in the finals, and I think they'll face Cleveland. With that being said, we'll have to see how everything shakes out. Again, it's only game 1, but I certainly liked what I saw from the Thunder because this Spurs team, while they have a lot of gelling to do with some new additions as well, they have a lot of talent across the board at every position. And certainly when you have Kawhi Leonard going off for, I think he had 32 points, a career high for him. That's a fantastic night for Kawhi, and that's a fantastic, start for San Antonio. But obviously, I think Oklahoma City is a little bit in a better position, especially for long term.
Yeah, and Enes Kanter has definitely been a big addition, to them ever since they got him during during a trade last year from Utah, and I'm sure getting out of Utah was just really rejuvenating for him because nobody wins in Utah.
Well, I mean, he came from Turkey, so I think he's happy wherever he goes. But I will say this also, and it was really interesting to note. Whenever they signed Enes Kanter last summer and they matched the Portland Trailblazers offer, someone, I don't remember who it was, made the comment that the Thunder decided to go into the tax for Enes Kanter, but they wouldn't go into the tax for James Harden. So just let that sink in.
I mean, now that you got Eon Waiters, because he plays no defense, but we'll just have to see, as you guys said. At least for one game, Russell and KD look to be playing together. So we'll have to see how that goes. And obviously, we'll be talking about them if they mess up. So they'll be on the next edition of Shot Clock or Where You At, though, real quick. Well, although Alec's bladder is empty now, we still have to take a quick break so we can drink water and relax and all that fun stuff. But when we return, we'll take a quick look at what's going on with the Royals and Mets in the World Series and the highlight of our Thursday shows, Shot Clock. We'll be right back.
You're watching Screaming Eagles TV.
And welcome back again to Run the Play. Now, 2 games into the World Series, but only one team looks like they've actually ready to be there. The Kansas City Royals have a 2-0 lead over the New York Mets after taking both at home. Now the series now shifts to New York, where the Mets hope they can use that same home field advantage to even up the series. So, Jordan, can the Mets turn this around, or are the Royals just too good at the right time right now?
Well, I think they can turn it around, especially if they get a win tonight, but they have to get a win tonight if they want to have any chance at all. The Mets certainly have the pitching, and that's going to be the biggest thing because the Royals have absolutely destroyed the Mets pitching early on in this series. The Mets really use their power pitching, their lots of combinations of fastballs and changeups to really keep the Cubs, off base and really resulting in a lot of strikeouts for the Cubs. Meanwhile, the Royals are smacking these fastballs, and they're hitting them into gaps, and they're ready to, as the ones right up the middle there, right on cue. The Royals, they just certainly look like they're ready to be here, and they were here last year. I'm sure they're hungry to get another win, and they want to win the championship, and I think that they can certainly do that if they continue to get performance like they had out of Johnny Cueto, who went, I believe, the complete game and only gave up 2 hits. And so the Mets, yes, they have a chance. In the long shot, though, I think that the Royals win this one.
Well, I just think it's bittersweet because the Mets' bats have gone silent, just like the Cubs did last series. So I'm enjoying every minute of it. I just think that, as you can see, the Royals, this is situational hitting times over level 9,000. I think I've never seen, and the thing is, they'll be down until the 6th or 7th inning, then just ranched it up to a whole nother level. If their pitching is solid, the defense, you already know, is impeccable. I just don't see why they can't sweep them. I don't think this is leaving New York, honestly. I know the Mets are going to get 3 games up at Citi Field, but I don't think it's going to go past the end of the weekend. I just think that the Mets, if their bats don't get going, Cespedes, Murphy, get something out of David Wright, anything. He's your captain. He's got to rally the troops. He's the grizzled veteran on the roster. Their pitching looks good until late game, and then the Royals, if their starters aren't looking good, they can turn it over to that bullpen, and that's lights out. But the Mets almost have to rely on their arms to go 7 or 8 innings just for them to have a chance, and I just don't see that happening.
And I want to kind of bounce back off your point of what you were talking about with the Royals, about how they always have the great situational hitting, or lately they have at least. And they remind me a lot of the 2011 Cardinals. The Cardinals were a lot of the same. They relied on their pitching and defense, and then they got to the 6th, 7th, 8th inning, and then the Cardinals would have a big inning, and then they would close it out. That's how they ended up winning the World Series. Also because David Freese had that walk-off home run, which was fantastic, but again, situational hitting. And I think a lot of the Royals have a lot of that in them. I don't know. I think the Mets get at least one at home, especially with as energized as that Mets fan base is going to be, because this is the first World Series games, I believe, since 1986 there. Which was the year they won, and they happened to be down 2-0 as well in that series and all that. There's all kinds of similarities between the two situations, although I don't think this one ends up being a Mets victory. I think the Royals actually win it in 5. I think the Mets get one game. I actually thought it was going to be in 7, but the Royals have been much more dominant so far.
Well, all right. Well, I don't have anything to say about the World Series because I don't really care for any of these teams. So you know what?
The Royals are fast.
Hey, I'm
You could
fast.
say
Let's
that.
see. Royals fee.
There's
And on that note, it's time for Shot Clock. Now, in case you're new to the show, we each get 24 seconds to go on any sports topic of our choosing. But once the buzzer goes off, that's it. So, as we usually do, we'll let Alec go first because
All right.
he's always the man with the plan.
He's
the
ready to
talker.
go.
Yeah, he's ready. Whenever you're ready, sir.
All right, just let me go.
Waiting on that shot
Waiting on-
clock. There it is.
Basketball is back, baby. As me being a staunch basketball fan, I love the NBA. I love college basketball. I love it all. As we see, I revel in the fact that LeBron James is struggling right now. I like to see the Pacers and the Celtics off to, a good start, but the Pacers are struggling. Basketball is back. I'm loving it, and it'll be here till June. Let's go.
All right. Real simple, calm, just
You're right. We don't
there,
get that
calm.
calmness too much.
No, not really.
That was nice. I like that.
It was a good side of Alec to see, that's for sure. So I guess it's my turn now.
Yep.
All right. We're just waiting on that clock. All right. So last night I got home, was planning on going to bed after doing Access USI last night, and then turned on the TV and saw the Minnesota Timberwolves and Lakers playing on ESPN. Now, that really wouldn't be that marquee of a matchup for most people, but I'm a big fan of Ricky Rubio, and he finally showed out like I've been waiting for the last 4 or 5 years. 28 points, 14 assists, 10 of 17 shooting. He's developed a jump shot. Watch out for the young man because he's going to be one of the better point guards in the NBA this year. There you go.
That was nice. That was nice.
Just like Ricky Rubio.
Hey.
He's a pretty good
All
player.
right. Well, I'm ready when you are. And piggybacking off what both of them said, I'm going to take a look at the Lakers. Now, Kobe, I love you to death, but you shot 8 for 24. I mean, that's not going to get it done anymore with all this young talent. You need to focus on them. Your rookie, Russell, only had 4 points. Only took 3 shots. Like, he's not doing much. At least Randall had 15, but you got to get those young guys going because they're the future in L.A.
We've got a conspiracy theory for you here. Kobe Bryant shot 8 for 24 because those were his jersey numbers. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh.
All right. Great show.
And see, on that note, folks.
I had to end it weird like everything else was today.
This is true. We are all out of time. But since you love having us on your screen so much, you can always catch us on YouTube. Just search for the SETV 12 channel and click on the RTP tab. Also, don't forget to follow us all on Twitter. We'll be back on Tuesday, ready to brighten up your day. For Alec Bradley, Jordan Fisher, and the Michaelist Tristan White, I'm Ricky Covington, and this has been Run the Play.